Hi everyone, this is Scott Dudley from Funnel Fella Radio, and today my special guest is Matt O'Connor, who's based in the UK, and he's the copywriter from the Conversion Guides, who provide world-class copy and boost traffic and conversions. So welcome to the show, Matt. Are you ready to rock and roll?
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, ready when you are.
Okay, perfect. Let's get stuck into it then. So we'll go back sort of to the beginning with your background and how you first got into marketing and copywriting in general.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's kind of funny actually because I didn't even know anything about direct response. Okay, I used to work at a shopping channel, you know, like QVC, that type of thing. But this was called Ideal World, and it was like the rival to QVC over here in the UK. And I had a job there, and part of my job was doing the captions and the graphics, you know, the stuff down the side that they have on these channels.
Yep.
So I do that and the screen grabs, and it was a direct response company essentially, but I didn't know what that was. I didn't get it. And the presenters were salesmen, you know, and I would do these captions. I would do these like bullet point, full page kind of ads, all about the product, the features, the benefits. And I remember a producer used to say to me, Matt, when we put these slides up, that's when everybody buys, you know. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I just kind of thought people were using it like as an excuse to pick up the phone. It's like a break in the show. But actually the bullet points kind of summarize the product, and they helped like push the sale forward, you know. And some of these presenters were really good salespeople. Like I remember one guy, he sold a diamond ring like for an hour, just talking about one ring, which takes some doing, but they sold a truckload of them. Like he would sell out, this one guy. He had a 2-hour show, and he was kind of a mini celebrity. Anyway, the point is, I didn't realize what I was doing or what we were all doing was direct response stuff. It was salesmanship on the TV, right? And it's kind of gone full circle now, Scott, as you know, online. Yep. There's a lot more kind of infomercial style ads that we see. But that was like 15 years ago. And in my spare time, because I had a lot of downtime in the job, I would just kind of surf online and just kind of, you know, look around when I was bored. And I remember stumbling across a sales page. So yeah, this would be, 15 years ago probably, called Traffic Secrets. I don't know if you remember that one. Do you remember that one?
John Reese.
John Reese, that was it. So I remember I didn't know what traffic was, right? I didn't understand the lingo. I was like, what do they mean by traffic, you know? But I remember reading the whole page and just kind of being enchanted by it, you know? It's like, wow, this is amazing. It went on. And I kind of looked into it and I realized that people actually wrote these things, you know? And it was really fun to read. People wrote these things. They got paid pretty good money by the sounds of it. Yeah. I thought, man, I could do that, because it kind of looked easy, right, Scott? You read these things and it's very simple language, and you think, well, this can't be too hard. And I always wanted to be a writer as well, like as growing up as a kid.
Yep.
So those two things combined, like kind of absorbing all this salesmanship from the channel, and then discovering sales pages online, they kind of converged. And I thought, man, I could do this myself, you know. And I started doing it for free for people in the beginning, which I never recommend people do. I started doing it for free for people and learning the ropes, reading the books. And before you knew, I had my first gig, and that was it.
Okay, did you do the AWAI copywriting course just out of interest with Michael Masterson?
No, I didn't. I kind of wish I had. The first thing I did, I was reading books and I was studying sales pages, and honestly, I was learning by trial and error. That's what I was doing. And things really kicked off for me when I got myself a mentor. And I took this guy on while I still had my job. And I remember him saying to me, don't take the AWAI course. I was like, why not? Like, it's for beginners. You'll just be a novice all of your life. And he was dead against it. So I never took it. But I understand it's pretty useful now. And, I understand like some really good swipes in there. But yeah, my first mentor, actually, it's quite amusing that I had some jobs lined up, because it came to the day where I had to leave my job, right? I thought, I've got to leave this and do this full time, because I can do this now, I'm a copywriter, I can do this. And I had some clients who were paying me monthly on a retainer, just to crank out copy. And I thought, I can replace my job income with this and grow from there. So I did that, and Scott, as soon as I left my job, those two guys just disappeared. Like it just
Murphy's Law.
came to an end, timing. Oh man! But you know what? That kind of helped me, because then I had to really dig in and think, geez, I've got to get good at this. I've got to get really good at this.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, I had my mentor. He was a guy called Vin Montello. I don't know if you remember him. Well, remember him. He's still around. I just don't think he writes copy as much as he used to.
Yeah.
And fortunately, he would send me the odd client as well. Like, we would work on projects together.
Okay.
And so I grew from there. So I really recommend, like, any new copywriters, get yourself a mentor, learn with them. Hopefully you can collaborate and work on stuff together. Because yeah, man, that was a heart and mouth moment when those retainers dried up, I can tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, so if we fast forward a little bit then to nowadays and the conversion guide. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now, and also what types of clients that you're working with specifically.
Sure. Well, for a good few years, I used to jump from client to client pretty much. Sort of a lot of biz ops stuff in the early days of ClickBank, health. And I would just, I'd do one client, do the job, move on to the next one, do the job, move to the next one. And then I figured out that that's not really the best way to run this business. And I figured if I can work long term with people, so I'm kind of partnering with them.
Yeah.
And they pay me, a piece of the business, or royalty, or commission, or equity, or whatever it may be. That's better for me. That's more motivating for me, and it's better for them as well, because I'm sort of on demand. So for the past 3 or 4 years, I've really worked with the same 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
Just kind of ongoing projects, building businesses. I do recommend in the beginning working through a few different clients. I mean, I had some great clients in the past. You learn a lot from them. Everyone's different, or different types of businesses. But eventually, I think if you want that stream of income sort of consistent, you've got to tie your maths to one business. And you can handle 2 or 3 at a time. So that's what I do, Scott.
Yeah, that's sort of why I didn't continue with the copywriting myself, because I was doing that as a full-time gig for about 3 years. But my problem was that I wasn't getting enough clients, and I wasn't marketing myself properly as well. I wasn't building a list. Like, those 2 things are just, I know now they were just stupid not to do them. But without the constant money coming in and consistent clients, then it makes it really hard. And that's really what put me off. But But if I had my second go now, I'd be doing those 2 things like you just said, and also looking for equity as well. But the thing with equity though is that you have to pick your clients carefully, because if you're on a commission only basis and then the client isn't really a good sort of client, then you don't make any money from it, do you?
Yeah. You have to spend a lot of time in the beginning kind of vetting them, figuring them out, Fortunately, I mean, I got lucky with one guy. There was a guy called Jason Capital, and he's...
Oh, I know him, yes.
You know him? So when
dating advice.
So it was, dating advice in the beginning. So he came along, and he was the kind of client normally you kind of think, I might turn him away, because he didn't have anything. He had a list. It was his first product, I think, and he was it was a bit of a chance, but he paid me my full fee, he offered me a royalty, and I thought, he seems like to know what he's talking about. So we did this one ebook. It was a dating ebook, and it did okay. I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't like it didn't blow up. I mean, I think it was a time of the Dow of Badass, the Goldfish VSL. It was around that time, so dating stuff was kind of hot, and I think he kind of rode on the wave of that a little bit. But we decided. I said, well, look, because I saw something in the guy. I saw that he had charisma, and I said, let's just keep going. So we did another launch next month to the list, and we did another one, and before long we were doing about 1 a month pretty much. Okay. This was really just to his list. He used to get a few affiliates in, but he didn't touch cold traffic or paid for traffic, and it just Scott, it just grew. It took off, and he kind of, over time, he's a really nice guy, but he kind of became Jason Capital. Like his personality changed a bit, and it's kind of fun to watch him kind of grow into the business. And I think now, I mean, I worked with him 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. I I think now he's doing more biz op stuff, how to make money on Instagram, that kind of thing.
Yeah. He's pivoted a bit from the dating. Yeah, I noticed that as well.
That's right. That's right. But what we found was doing the dating stuff is, and this is kind of interesting to me, because when people buy from a personality or a guru, if you like, they'll buy like almost anything they put out because they're buying him, right? They're buying his content. So we put out dating stuff, we put out confidence building and success systems, and just like kind of Tony Robbins type things. And they would eat it up. They would love it. We went to make money stuff. We did an email campaign. I forget what it was called. It was how to make money writing emails. And I remember all these people on LinkedIn showing up saying, trained by Jason Capital. They were going for it. And we just realized that we had this audience who would buy from him as long as it was good quality content, and the marketing was good. Whereas other businesses, I find, like if you've got a weight loss business or a back pain business, something like that, generally that audience will only want to buy back pain or weight loss. You can pitch other stuff to them and they might buy it, but they'll only really go for the initial offer that they bought. You see what I mean? Yeah. And that again is an interesting thing, is that they'll buy one back pain product and they'll buy another and another and another. Yeah. I don't think it's because none of them work. I think it's because people think when they've bought the thing, they've kind of solved their problem. They didn't necessarily follow through with it. Yeah. It's especially true with make money stuff. Yeah. Start where it's just sort of scratching an itch, isn't it? You buy it and you think, oh, I've done my job now. That's it. And when it comes to actually doing stuff and implementing it, that takes effort. So people tend to skip that part. Yeah.
And his audience is sort of men, 20 to 40 or something, isn't it, pretty much?
Yeah, originally I thought, oh, we're getting divorced guys. This is all divorced guys who are, looking for a new start in life, and it was that to begin with. And then he kind of grew this cult of young guys in their 20s who didn't want to do the 9 to 5, who were looking for freedom, looking for girls, who wanted the kind of flash lifestyle. And he grew this, it's a bit like a cult, a real tribe of people. I mean, nice people. He invited me to his event 2 years ago, just so I could meet these people that we've been selling to for, so long. And you can imagine me sort of off the plane, pasty-faced Irish guy strolling into this seminar, and there's just 500 like 20-year-old kind of muscle-bound, bros, and I walked into the room and they're all chanting. They were chanting, I deserve this. Like he had them chanting from the stage, I deserve this. I mean, I was like a fish out of water. It was strange, but it was good. It was good to see how it all works.
Very interesting, because I can remember, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was writing copy for one of his competitors. So, back in those days, they do a lot of swaps, and so some of the swipes that I had to write were for Jason Capital's audience. So, I can relate to what you're saying. It's quite interesting, actually.
It is interesting.
Yeah. All right. So, including yourself, how many team members do you have? Like, do you outsource any of this stuff? Or is it just?
Yes, it's really just me. I still write with one of my mentors from a few years back. We sometimes collaborate on things, and I sometimes bring in other writers. I've got one guy who's really good. He works for Gore and Weiss, the financial companies. Yeah. I've got another guy who's a bit more of a junior, because I really like to collaborate, Scott, with people, but it's generally just me. The Conversion Gods, I know it sounds like an agency. My initial thought was, everybody who came to read the blog or join the list would be a conversion god, right? So the gods refers to the audience. That was my thinking. Okay. But a bit like you were saying earlier, I didn't have time really to do the blog or the list. I mean, I email out now and again, I've got something interesting to say, but I never really have the time to spend on it, because I'm working with clients and partners, right? So I often wonder about all of the copywriting gurus, like how they get the time to do it, and if they're doing this stuff, does that mean they're writing for clients as well? I mean, it's very hard to do both. That's what I think. But yeah, so it's really just me. But I would suggest, like, if you're fairly new as a copywriter, find someone you can collaborate with, even if they're new as well, because that was kind of a game changer for me, to have some fresh eyes on a piece of work. They're going to spot things that you never will, you know. And it can be, you know, writing a sales piece and taking 2 or 3 weeks on one piece of copy. It can be a lonely business, you know. So
absolutely,
bounce ideas off, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes the client can do that. You can bounce ideas off them, but often they'll want to sort of leave you alone to get on with it. So yeah, find a copy partner.
Yeah, I guess it helps too. The like the sorts of questions that you're asking your clients as well. Sort of that would make a difference too, wouldn't it? If you're asking the right questions.
Yeah. So I mean, when I first get to know a client, I'll ask them about themselves and their product, but I kind of look at it as, what I like to do is collaborate with the client. So I'll often pass them a draft. And in the beginning, I would never do this. I was scared to do this. I wanted to be perfect before I showed it to anybody, you know. You can relate to that, right? They've paid for it, it's got to be perfect. But actually, if you share ideas or even drafts or leads with them, they'll spot something and they'll give you a better idea often. And I find that collaboration, you come up with an idea that neither of you would have come up with by yourself.
Yeah.
Together you come up with something better. So I'm open to sharing stuff with them early on. And also they become invested in the work a little bit as well. Like they take ownership of the work. So if, you know, touch wood, something does go wrong, they realize they are part of that too, you know, so it's not like completely on the copyright. So yeah, collaboration, that's a big deal for me.
Yeah. All right. So what formats of copy do you write? So, you know, is it like emails, sales letters, VSLs, text ad?
Yeah, VSLs, written sales pages, emails, upsells. Interesting one is pre-landers. So like a page they'll see before the sales page.
Like a bridge.
If you're on Facebook, sorry, Scott?
Yeah, I was just going to say like a bridge page. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, bridge page, jump page, kind of an advertorial, pre-lander, pre-sale page. Especially on Facebook, they want to see something like that before the sales page. And also it can, if you do it right, you can help warm them up to the sale a little bit rather than kind of dumping them straight in there, you know. Some of that can be taken care of these days with Facebook videos. I don't know if you keep an eye on the ads, but Facebook is great these days because you can save people's videos to your own little file and you can spy on them. And I'm always looking at supplement companies and checking out their ads, you know, and they'll have 2 to 3 minute pitches as ads. Some of them will go on for 20 minutes more, you know, just talking about their product before you get to the sales page. So Facebook video ads, there's a lot you can do there. Yeah. Same with YouTube ads as well.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So on top of the copy, what about like the funnel building, the traffic, and also the optimization? Do you just not touch that at all, or do you outsource it, or what do you do with that?
So optimization, like when it comes to new leads, headlines, like ideas for design, because layout can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorites sort of split tests that we did, I think I put this on my newsletters, but my favorite split tests was the buy button, and they had the usual add to cart, and this was for a weight loss launch. And what we did was we changed the wording on the buy button to something like melt my fat.
Ah, nice.
All right, instead of add to cart. And I remember very vividly, it gave them a 30% bump, just that one little buy button.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, the buy button, buy now is pretty boring, but yeah, I mean, what you just said, that's exciting. So, yeah. What was it? Melt my fat? Was that it?
Melt my fat, yeah. and since then, we've experimented with having, you know, because you might have several buy buttons on the page, like having different wording on each one.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that one will hit. You're just kind of reminding them of the benefit of the reason they're there, the reason they're buying in the first place, you know, that last little click. That's
a much better thing to test than just the color of the button as well. I think the actual text would be far more important. Yeah.
Although I think color can make a difference as well. I remember someone changing it from blue to green, that made a difference. And the problem with split tests is a lot of them tail off over time. So you can get a lift and then gradually over weeks and months, they kind of, you know, become the same as they were before. But every now and again, you get one that holds and it's a big win.
Yeah, and without testing that, you wouldn't have a clue. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about one of your most successful marketing campaigns and why you believed it performed so well.
Oh, wow. Well, one of my favourites was, funnily enough, it was weight loss again. And this was about 5, 6 years ago. And every now and then, Scott, you'll get something where everything comes together and it's timing. Like it's the right product for the right time. You've got the right traffic team. You know, the copy just hits home and everything just kind of comes together. I don't know if you've seen recently, there's been a launch on ClickBank called Research. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't looked at ClickBank for years.
Okay. Well, so Research is, it's weight loss again, but the video, very high production values. It's like a movie. The opening is very immersive. It's really well done. But this thing just took off like a rocket. And I saw an interview with the guy last week, and he said at its peak, they were making 11,000 sales a day. 11,000 sales a day of a weight loss supplement. So 8 figures a month. And this was similar to the one I was going to tell you about, because similar to Research, it was timing. It was just the right time. Research got a little bit lucky because they launched right at the beginning of lockdown. So everybody was stuck at home on computers. Their audience, which is kind of women 50 plus, forced to order online, right? You know, timing, it was perfect. Plus the guy has huge affiliate connections, and there was kind of a Facebook loophole. I think their compliance was pretty lax for a month or two, so they took advantage of that. Anyway, this launch that we did, it was called Unleash Your Thing, I think it was called, and it was for a company called Natural Health Sherpa, and they were a 7-figure company. I think they were doing about $1 million a year. After that launch, they were an 8-figure company. I remember the owner telling me it wasn't purely down to the VSL. It was what the effect that had on their list. Obviously, that grew their list very fast as well, so they could sell more stuff to them. But we launched it, and it was I was getting royalty, and it was making $1 million a month, like almost immediately. And the reason is because, like I say, it was the right offer for the right time. It was one of these 3 foods to eat to melt your fat away, that kind of thing. And we were one of the first to do that, right? Everybody kind of copied that, in the years since. There was a Facebook were allowing weight loss offers on there, which they don't really allow anymore. They had a huge affiliate network. They had a guy running the traffic. He was really good. Tommy Powers, a really good traffic guy. And it just all came together and just took off. It was really good to see. You put a lot of work into these things, but there's an element that's out of your control, and sometimes it all comes together and just blows up.
Is that where you got the idea for the Melt My Fat button from that, was it? Or
I don't know if it was that launch. It might have been, but it was a weight loss launch, so it could well have been.
Okay.
Melt My Fat, yeah. It's funny. I've tried it with other things, and it still works in other niches as well, other markets. So take that one away, Scott.
One of those visual things as well. You can sort of imagine the fat burning and disappearing. So
yeah. Another one, like a similar one to that, was Organifi. Familiar with their green juice thing?
Yeah. I've heard of them. Yep.
Drew Canoli's all over YouTube.
Yeah.
So they had only launched to their list. I think they'd hired Russell Brunson, your friend, to come in and help them launch to their list. And they did kind of unboxing videos, but they're kind of like, how do we go beyond that? And they had the same traffic guy from the weight loss one working for them, Tommy Powers again, and he said, listen, hire this guy Matt because he does great work in this market. And they were like, we can't afford a copywriter. And I figured out a deal with them where they were paying me a royalty, a smaller upfront fee and a larger royalty. And again, we did a VSL, and I think what they were missing was they were focusing on, we've got a green juice and this tastes better than all the other green juices. Which was true. It tastes pretty good, Organifi. But they had a story from a lady who was really ill, and she started juicing and she got better and she lost weight. And we focused on that story. And I remember really vividly, actually, we had the long sales page and the video. We did some tests. There's a little section where they had the story of the lady. It was only, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs. It wasn't the whole sales page. And we took that out, the story, and the conversions dropped. Put it back in, conversions went back up again. So this story, it was holding everything together. People were clinging on to that. And what Tommy did, the traffic guy, he ran and this is gained momentum again recently, but back then it was new. He ran the whole VSL on YouTube, and he was able to put the buy button in the YouTube video, which I hadn't seen before.
No,
so people were going to YouTube. Yeah, I'm not sure we can do it anymore. But we had software that could do that. And yeah, people were buying directly from YouTube, you know.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that took off as well. But I was going to say, and like I say, Scott, rein me in if I'm rambling too much, but that's gaining traction again now. I see a lot of people putting their VSLs on YouTube, and I've got a guy in the dating market actually who put a 5-6-year-old VSL, slapped it on YouTube, and a few weeks later, he was bringing 500 sales a day. Jeez. From a really old VSL. So it feels a little bit like a hole, but we'll see how long it lasts.
So based from that, sounds like VSLs still work. I thought that webinar funnels took over, but maybe there's sort of still both.
Yeah, I think kind of make money internet marketing is a lot of webinars, isn't there? Especially high ticket stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Health, dating, you know, biz op. Yeah, VSLs. Still as strong as ever, Scott. A lot more high production now. I wouldn't say that the old PowerPoint style works as well as they used to, but you know, you've got to spend more time on the visuals.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So what are some of the biggest and most common mistakes that you see your clients making?
Oh, wow. How long have you got? Well, I guess the main one, when people come to me, they get all excited and they look at who I've worked with before and they've got a bit of money to spend and they're going to launch something. And they'll say to me, and I've had this once a week for the past month or so, hey, Matt, write me a VSL like X. And right now it's write me a research, write me a VSL like that, right? You know.
Okay.
Yeah, when as we've just discussed, a lot of that is to do with timing and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? The VSL is kind of like the surface, like an iceberg, right? The tip of the iceberg, and underneath that, there's all kinds of things going on. You don't know the cost of the goods. We don't know the affiliate connections. We don't know the traffic costs. So people will come to me and I'll say, look, I can give you comparable copy to this. Like we can do something as good as these guys. I'm not going to rip them off. We'll do something like they're doing, but we'll do our own twist on it. And I'll go, yeah. And they kind of launch this thing and they expect it to almost work by itself, right? But they don't realize the groundwork that's gone into some of these bigger launches. The connections you've got to make, like I say, the affiliate networks. You've got to have, I mean, I know there are people who are driving their own traffic. I was chatting to a guy yesterday who's driving his own YouTube traffic and he's doing very well. But I think generally speaking, you've got to bring in an expert, you know, whether it's one freelancer or team, you know, it's hard to do it all yourself these days. Absolutely. But yeah, a lot of people will come to me because they think copy is the magic bullet. And actually, it's just it's a piece of the puzzle. It's a piece of the overall puzzle.
Exactly. It's just one part of the whole picture. Yeah. Exactly right. I mean,
you probably found this as a freelancer, right? You probably found this yourself.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have the right traffic or the list, then you pretty much got zero chance, even if it's good copy.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will come to me and an offer will do well, but it's done well to lists, like you say, to affiliates. And they'll say, oh, we want to run this on Facebook. And that's a whole different ballgame. Like on lists, you can be much more aggressive. It's much more like the Wild West on lists. Facebook, you've got to be compliant. You know, you can't even say the word you. You can't do you language on Facebook. You know, it's very difficult. So you either have to do two versions or you say, you know, pick one traffic channel, let's work towards that. And yeah, I guess it's expectations. You've got to set the expectations.
All right, well, that's probably along the lines of the next question I was going to ask. Sort of, what's the biggest challenge you consistently have to face while working with clients, other than expectations? Is there anything else that you can think of?
You know, one of the, it kind of amuses me, but it can be a pain. Some clients, this is not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is probably setting expectations, like we just said. But one of the most amusing things is kind of a failure to launch, right? To pull the trigger. Like it's amazing how many people will get everything together and just cannot take that extra step. I had one guy who took a year to launch something, like literally a year, from having the sales page and everything set up, you know, to launching. I've other people who have never launched.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, I don't know if it's a fear thing. It could be a fear of failure, it could be a fear of success. Like they're not ready for it. You know, it's like, and they get all the affiliate connections together. They might hire a traffic team, but actually pushing that button, I don't know, something happens, Scott.
Yeah, I come across that as well. I've spent all this money to pay you to write the copy, and then they never launch it. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's a whole waste of time. But
you think why? You know, why did you do that? Just at least do it. I will say, I think you give yourself a major advantage if you can build a list. If you can build your own list, like whatever business you're in, if you can build a list where people like trust you, you know, like the Kevin Rogers thing, know, like, trust, you're going to be able to sell stuff so much more easily. Whereas everybody wants to just slap it on Facebook or AdWords, and, you know, you've got to figure out all the maths. You've got to figure out how much your CPA is, how much it costs to get that buyer in, and you've got to figure out how much your funnel makes. And hopefully your funnel makes more than it costs, you know, then you're in profit, but it can take a little while to get there, you know,
So the Kevin Rogers stuff you're talking about, 60-second sales hook, isn't it? Is that what you're referring to there?
Yeah, that was his book, wasn't it, Kev? Yeah, Kev was one of my early mentors, actually, because...
Oh, okay. I was in his copy chief for a while. I'm not sure if you remember.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, he let me in when he started. He was great because his big idol was John Carlton.
Yes.
And I think John was kind of training him a bit, and a lot of that stuff would get passed down to me. You know, so I got lucky there. But Kev, we just sort of hit it off. He's very laid back. I've really had 3 mentors.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just saying he's a great guy, Kevin. Yeah.
He's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy.
All right. So what are you curious about or researching right now regarding copywriting or digital marketing in general?
Right now, like as of this week, I'm looking into YouTube. I mentioned it earlier. Every now and again, a sort of traffic, not a loophole, but you know, a certain channel becomes easier to make money on, shall we say? And a lot of people are on YouTube and they're running their whole VSL on YouTube and making money. So I'm talking to a guy today actually about how he's doing it with his offer. I believe he's spending $30 for a buyer. He's making back $70, and he's selling 100 a day, and he's running all of his own traffic. And I want to figure out what's going on. It shouldn't be this easy, you know. So I want to look into YouTube marketing there. For me, it's the same as it always has been. It's keeping an eye on what's working now, because that kind of evolves over time, you know. The copy structures tend to stay the same.
Yeah.
But keeping an eye on what's working now, which traffic channels, what kind of pre-landers, what kind of upsells people are using, you know. I'm like a hawk looking at everybody else's funnels. And yeah, it's constantly like that for me. One thing I love to do actually is run emails for other people's lists.
Okay.
And if you're a copywriter, this is a great way to make, you know, fairly easy money, because writing emails, you know, it's not that hard. You can adapt swipes, and you can do your own thing. But if I was a new copywriter today, I'd probably go out, find a marketer or a guru that I liked, and just put this to them that I will manage your list, which means writing the emails, sending out the emails, and keeping track of open rates, things like that. You can get somebody else to keep track.
Yeah.
So you just concentrate on the emails and take a cut of the email revenue, you know. 1 email a day, you know, let's say it's bringing $1,000 a day, and you're getting 10%, 20%, you know, it can work out okay as the list grows, you know. So that's one thing I like to do on the side. Yeah, I've gone off on a tangent again, Scott, I'm sorry.
That's no worries. I mean, once again, it'd be important to pick the right sort of clients for that sort of partnership as well with the emails.
Yeah. I mean, you might start off with a smaller project for them, you know, but they are out there. They are out there. Yeah, build up to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right. So, who are your marketing idols or the biggest influences on your career?
Well, my idols. I mean, I always, right from the beginning, loved John Carlton stuff. I would read his stuff. Because the thing with John Carlton is you probably know, he's not like just a great copywriter, he's a great writer. And I think you can read his stuff even if you're not into golf, you're not into martial arts, you can read it for fun and entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's, you know, the Jason Capital stuff that we did, I tried to do that. I tried to make it fun to read, entertaining, you know.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, like, one of the things people recommend is writing stuff out by hand, copying great sales pages by hand.
Yeah.
That never worked for me. Like, I did it a lot. I used to do it a lot with John Carlton and stuff. And I'd write out stuff again, and then I'd come to do my own things, and I'd be writing humiliating one-legged, you know, I'd be doing all of this kind of John Carlton stuff that made no sense, you know. I get you can learn rhythm and cadence and structure and things like that, but John Carlton's language is so specific, I found, to those markets that it wasn't really helping me. So I sort of study it, but I won't copy it.
Okay.
Who else? Dan Kennedy, you know, I like for the business side of things, you know, but I like to keep an eye on what's working now. I mean, the trend, unfortunately, I thought a few years ago it was going to become more authentic. That was where everything was heading: transparency, authenticity. But I've noticed recently a lot of newer copywriters are kind of, you know, we've all been there. You want it to work, so you want to make money. So they're kind of writing these crazy stories. You've probably seen a lot of them, you know.
Yeah.
Start off with this. There's a bunch of them on ClickBank if you're going to have a look, where it's, you know, oh, my husband was having a heart attack on the floor of an airplane, but it was that moment that I found the key to weight loss. And it's just sort of this weird, like, amalgamation of like a crazy story and a secret. And they follow the same kind of structure, and they have a shocking opening. And I get that it works, but you can't tell me these stories are real. I mean, I know I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a bit of a shame. You know, I think that it kind of comes to that. There's so many of those now. There's always been that element to direct response, but when people say to me, "Oh, you do those scammy ads, don't you? You do those scammy ads," it's because of stuff like this that our business gets a bad rep. You know, I remember doing a sales page for Neil Patel, you know, the SEO guy.
Yep.
And he was anti-direct response. He didn't like that kind of stuff. I handed him the sales page. He went, "Oh, it kind of looks spammy." You know, I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" It's a and it wasn't. The text, the copy wasn't. Got his designer to kind of split it into blocks. You know how everything is these days? It's kind of in sections.
Yeah. Yes.
Copy was exactly the same. Split it into blocks. Oh, that's much better. You know, he was happy with it then, just because he changed the design. So all of it's perception.
Interesting.
But yeah, these bonkers stories, I don't think they help us.
Yeah, the far-fetched ones. But yeah, that's interesting. You're saying with the writing out by hand. I mean, I did that AWAI copywriting course, and of course that replicates that as well. And it drove me crazy. I mean, I tried my best to do it for as long as I could, but because my hand hurt and because I really couldn't see any benefit from it whatsoever, I'd end up giving up on it. So I tend to agree with you that might work for some people, but for me, I just found it to be annoying.
Yeah. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I found that I was copying Halbert and Carlton, and I was writing like them, and it wasn't relevant to what was happening now. You know, the copy that was working now. I remember an event I was at. A guy came up to me and he said, "Matt, I've copied out all of John Carlton's ads. I've copied out all of Gary Halbert's ads. I've copied out all of Dan Kennedy's ads. Who should I do next?" And I said, "Well, why are you doing that?" He said, "So to become a better copywriter." And I said, stop doing that. Start writing your own stuff. You know, like when you do your own stuff, you'll figure out things and you'll encounter things you never would have just by copying other people's copy.
Yeah.
You know? And this poor guy was stuck in the kind of learning cycle of never thinking he was good enough, you know, never thinking his copy was good enough and just copying other people. And, I think I get into that.
Makes total sense. Yeah. I mean, you can't always be in learning mode. You've got to eventually pull the trigger, like you were saying before. So
yeah, and you're gonna mess up sometimes. You're gonna fail, right? But that's how you learn, you know.
Exactly. All right. So just to wrap this up, where can people go to find out more about your services and/or your products?
Conversiongods.com. Get on the newsletter. There's like a sequence of emails where you'll find out more about me and how we work and coaching and products and things like that. And I email every now and again. I've got something interesting to say. I try to do the email a day. I try to do one email a week. I just couldn't keep up with it. You know, I found like I was making things, you know, I was having to come up with like, think really hard for something interesting to say. So I wait till something happens and then I write about that. But conversiongods.com, that's the place to go.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for your time, Matt. Really appreciate that. And thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Take care. See ya.
Cheers, buddy.